Hello, everybody. Jason Hay, National Sales Manager for Mamaki Australia. Today, I'm joined by Thomas Sun, our General Manager,
Hello.
in regards to the ink technology available from Mamaki. Obviously, just go through the agenda points today. We'll talk about Mamaki's innovation and history in the SG product range, the ink technology and how they work for our customers and end users, the latest product portfolio, some product comparisons versus our competition. Then we'll go over shortly with the cutting plotters and laminator series. And then obviously at the end, we'll ask everybody just to mute their microphones for now. And then the last 10 or 15 minutes, we'll have some open questions and answers in regards to anything that you need to know or want to know, obviously from Mamaki or anything about our products. So furthermore, we may start. I'll introduce Tomo Sun, like I said, our general manager from Mamaki Australia. Tomo, I suppose in 30 seconds, just give us a brief introduction and who you are and I suppose what you do at Mamaki.
All right, my pleasure. Again, my name is Tomo Harada, the General Manager from Mimaki, Australia. It is pleasure to meet you all today in a webinar. I have 17 years of employment history with Mimaki, starting from R&D department from Japan. For 3 years, I was developing JB33, CJB33 inkjet printer in 15 years ago. Then I went through more to abroad international history as a technical support in USA market, European market in Amsterdam, came back to Japan for Asia, Oceania support. And then finally, I'm in this position in Sydney, Australia, as a general manager of Mimaki, Australia. What I'm exciting now is, still in my position, I can enjoy every day with printing with a lot of different things with application. I can be more involved into the technical side or service side or customers communication from my the daily activities base. So yeah, I'm pleasure to be in here.
Cool. All right, Thomas-san, thank you and welcome aboard. I can say from a national sales manager perspective, you've certainly added not just some managers' experience to the brand of Mamaki in Australia, but more importantly, your skill set, which obviously goes back to R&D, back quite a few years, 17 years ago, but adding value to the brand. More importantly, to our dealers and our customers. I do see you go out on the road a few times to make sure that.
That's true.
You're doing the right job. We're all doing the right job. Obviously,
Hopefully.
So today we'll start the presentation in regards to Mamaki technology. Everyone's just seeing the screen change over now. Thomas-san, I suppose just give us a brief innovation in regards to, you've been here the longest. Just give us a brief innovation history in regards to the SG product range.
Sure, I'm happy to. The Mimaki basically has 34 years of innovation history in sign and graphics product range the market, starting from 1987. Mimaki has started world first the cutting plotter with the MF220C series, which is a world first cutting plotter with eccentric cut method control. Since then, we have been investing a lot of technologies in the inkjet printing side. So in 1996, we developed the world first wide format aqueous-based inkjet printer with JB1300 with the 54-inch 1.3 meters of the wide format printing equipment. Since then, we have changed the ink technology. We have invested in new ink technology for 3 times. For 2002, we have the world first eco-solvent high definition low-cost eco-solvent printer with JB3. It was really the game changer on that time. So we have sold a lot of units in a worldwide base. And 2007, we have got the JB33, CJB30 range, which is a print only and print and cut the platform with a new eco-solvent range with SS21 ink, which is the currently known as the really good and close to best ink, best eco-solvent ink in the market globally. Since around 2010 and 2012, we have invested for new ink technology, which is a latex and LED UV ink. And it's been for close to close to 10 years now. We have developed the multiple generation of the LED UV ink printer with UCJV 300 and newly 100 series, as well as JV400 Latex is the world first white ink available on the printer since 2012. It's still beating the market at this moment. So today we would like to talk about what's the difference, features, and benefit of those three ink types, which is available from Mimaki.
Yeah, and obviously just understanding that we obviously have dye sublimation water-based textile ink as well. So we're the only manufacturers going local to the market in Australia that actually has those 4 ink sets internally.
Correct.
So I suppose it gives us a true advantage in regards to understanding the customer's needs and needs in the applications versus what they do. One thing I do like about Mimaki Australia is that we do have nearly 1,000 square metres of showroom space in Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne that enables us to actually showcase these actual individual ink types locally.
And benefit and so on, right?
Yeah, and that's more exciting. I think up in Queensland, we've just sometime, and I know they've moved into the new office, which is 250 square metres, but sometime in the new year we'll have an open event and showcase, and I think we'll be putting some new equipment in there, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Sure.
But yeah, no, that sounds great.
Right. Let's go over a little bit of their knowledge base regards to the 4 different ink types which Mimaki has worked on in the last, the 20, close to 30 years at this moment. So, starting from water-based pigment ink and eco-solvent latex and LED UV ink, these the ink technology, they don't overlap it, they don't take over, they don't overlap each other because each individual ink type has each benefit and disadvantage. So at this moment for this the printing industry, they actually alive with 4 different settings for this. So I would like to go through briefly just those. First of all, water-based pigment ink, which we started Sign Graphics the printing equipment business with back in 1996. So this technology, first of all, the inks requires absorption layer on the paper. So you need to have the particular coating for the water-based inkjet. So which automatically brings up a cost of the media, which really high. However, print quality is second to none. So because the ink particularly makes a small dot size in order to stay in the ink absorption layer, so it works for high resolutions. Regards to color productivity, it is excellent because most of the water-based pigment the printer manufacturer, such as some national brands, they have not only CMYK, but they've got multiple ink colors like red, orange, green, and blues, and so on. So it will actually make the more brilliant color comparing to other 3 different ink types. However, this ink, the water-based ink, it fades in a short period, so it's not recommended to use at outdoor usage at all because color fades in a couple of days a week. So please stay with the indoor usage with the water-based pigment.
So we obviously sell these particular water-based products in other countries. We don't bring them in Australia. I mean, we do, but there are obviously a major factor, and we can show on a slide later that they do take up a majority import data space in regards to capital equipment. But I think that the biggest thing for our end users and our dealer network on show today is that they are at smaller investment costs, but the actual running cost is a lot higher.
Correct.
So we're looking really between $300 and $500, $300 and $700 a cartridge. But more importantly, the other thing too I'd like to point out is the media too. It's a small amount of media too that you can actually print onto. So we've got to be mindful that it does have its market space. But we're from Mimaki in Australia, we certainly don't play in that game. But I guess at the end of the day, we do have the other ink technology, which is obviously the forefront of the sign and display market.
Sure. So regards to next ink set, which next ink type as an eco-solvent ink. Obviously, eco-solvent, what's the biggest difference is it has a solvent liquid actually inside the ink, so which helps out to carry in within the printer hardware. Also, it actually helps out to bite the ink into the media really strong in order to stay in a place for the long time. So after printing, the solvent carrier needs to be evaporated in a room temperature or with with support of the Pratt heater temperature in order to the accelerator the outgassing. So this is what we call outgassing. The heating required between 40 to 60 degrees, so it's not much heating is required. The benefit with solvent ink printing is you don't need any coating basically, but mainly printable on the PVC, the printing vinyl or banners. It's good for outdoor durability because ink actually bites into the media, so it really stays with a good color with a less the color fading. It also softens the PVC once it's printed, the soften the vinyl, so it's really easy to apply on a surface, or especially carving surface, especially if you do the fleet wrapping or car wrapping or curved surface wrapping, it's really easy to apply. It actually keeps the surface of the media. If it's a gloss media, it keeps gloss. Matte media as matte as is. So you can actually stay with the media surface condition as is. The color-wise, it's very good. It's not as good as the water-based pigment ink, but comparing to the other ink technology, the Mimaki has got our original SS21 ink, which is widest color gamut with a CMYK 4 color in the market. We also have orange and light black ink for the expand color setting. Actually, the solvent ink, the eco-solvent printing requires outgassing, which requires minimum of 8 hours in general, up to 24 hours depending on density of the ink you are putting in. So you need to be mindful about the printing time to the processing time. You need to wait for certain hours before post-processing, like a laminate or cut. The ventilation system may be required, depends on the type of the solvent ink is in use. Most of the Mimaki eco-solvent customers don't require the special the ventilation system. They just have the window open room in order to get air, the fresh air.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a couple of things. Listening from the water-based pigment to the EcoSol, water-based obviously has its place in the market, and EcoSol's obviously certainly taken over in the last 20 years since Mimaki were the first one to introduce eco-solvent printing. So we've been in this industry for a long time. From my perspective, the SS21 inks, the CMYK, light cyan, light magenta, light black, and orange, does give us an extended color set. What percentage of the color set would that be?
For general vinyl, white vinyl, it's normally about 94% of a Pantone chart coverage with those extended ink set on the SS21.
Yeah, so so saying pigment base is around about 97%, and we're 94%. 3% is not a lot, but I suppose the benefit so far is that we've gone from outdoor usage of 6 months. So what we're saying now for EcoSol unlaminated, what are we saying for that?
Well, normally minimum 1.5 years, but in general, minimum 3 years with unlaminated.
Unlaminated, and then once it's laminated, there's obviously MCS and ICS certification.
Yeah, so you can expect the more than 5 years with laminated condition.
Yeah, so we can really see the reasons why in the first 2 ink technologies that we've explained today, the reasons why Mimaki's obviously diversified from water-based into EcoSol. Obviously now explain the benefits of latex to us.
Sure. Well, latex in general, latex includes the resin, latex resin inside the ink, and a bit of the solvent. Well, if someone says like it's a solventless or solvent-free, it includes some of the solvent in order to let the ink through to the ink system in the printer. But it's still meant to be the really water-based ink. So during the printing, you really need, or printer requires a dramatic heating system which provides minimum of 70 degrees to about 100 degrees in order to dry the resin ink, in order to make like overcoat type the effect on the printing result, in order to get color pigment to stick into the printing surface. So as a benefit of latex ink, same as the eco-solvent ink, you don't need any coating in general on the media. So in general in the latex ink, it's printable on any surface. Doesn't matter. Well, Depends on the media. You can expect a really good adhesion or good thickness to the media. Some of them you need advanced testing to see if an ink sticks well or not. The biggest advantage is those two. The no outgassing is required on latex. So you can actually print and laminate straight after printing because ink already dried and cured after the printing. You can also keep the surface condition gloss or matte as is, like solvent ink, which is the biggest benefit in comparing the eco solvent and the UV LED next to it. So you can laminate straight after printing, and you can keep the media surface as is. As a color-wise, it's still normal, so it's slightly less than what you can expect a color on eco-solvent printer. However, Mimaki provides our latex printer with orange and green ink besides CMYK basic processing in order to give you the same color productivity as an eco-solvent ink. You require higher electricity cost to run the latex printer. Some of the manufacturer you require 240 volts and 20 amps on the power. So you can just hook up into the wall socket, but you need to call an electrician to prepare the exclusive power circuit and power breaker, which cost extra, the extra value for the installation. It's still water-based, so laminate is really required for every single job as long as it goes to the outdoor. Without laminate, you can only expect the longevity of the color, minimum up to 6 months. So more than 6 months, you really need to laminate to to put in place.
So that's mainly more for outdoor usage. Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, obviously, latex technology for Maki's been around for 8 years, around for now. The technology is that we still sell it today. It's obviously, again, the benefit of a Maki technology is that we can diversify people's opinions in regards to what they believe and what they need based on the ink technologies that we do have. We do have orange and green, but we also have white latex ink as well.
Yes, we are the world first manufacturer which released the white ink for latex. Yeah, someone else has gotten the beginning this year, but we have invested a white ink in the latex more than 10 years ago.
Yeah, and again for the different types of applications and media types and things like that, and obviously ink technologies we will talk about next with UV LED. There's reasons to keep with latex, and there's reasons to go with the wide opacity on the UV. Right. So yeah. So give us a little bit of education purpose in regards to LED UV inks.
All right. The UV LED ink, as you can see in this diagram, the UV curing component is included inside the ink in order to immediately cure the ink during the printing. So after the printing goes through the UV light, ink is immediately cured and no extra drying is required. So which is really equivalent to the benefit of a latex ink. The UV LED ink doesn't need any coating on the film, like same as eco-solvent or latex. It can print on basically any printing surface you want. So it's equivalent to latex. Instant dry, so you can also print onto the non-coated paper. So coated paper for the water-based printing is like the easily $1 or $2 per square meters, but you can still print on the non-coated paper, which reducing to the 20 cents a square meters or those type of the paper for the short-run poster purpose with no problem. Which a latex or eco-solvent ink will easily breathe the ink onto the surface. You can put on immediate post-processing. However, you need to be mindful that because UV ink it doesn't remain the media surface as is because the media is stuck onto the media ink is stuck on the media surface as a bump and dent a little bit. So once you put laminate, you may face a silvering effect, which is like water, the air bubble, the effect you can see on the surface. However, we have some solutions into the to prevent the silvering. So in case you need to apply laminate onto a UV printer, we have some solution we will explain next slide. UV LED, the benefit of this is still the faster printing you can expect with a white and clear liquid, which is not available in eco-solvent and latex. Well, some of the ink technology has a white ink, but not for clear ink. So we have a clear ink available, which gives you the value-added printing into the your print job. The electricity cost is really low comparing to latex and even eco-solvent. We normally have the two inlets or two power sockets for the eco-solvent and latex printer. But on UV LED ink, you have only one socket. It works with the normal outlet from the wall, plug and play, and you can only expect the electricity bill like a quarter of what latex or eco-solvent gives you. So this is the basic benefit of
UV LED. I mean, obviously, it's our go-to product that we've been doing for the last 3 years with. But I mean, in our 1.6 meter wide space, it's probably taken up 50% of our sales portfolio of products sold. Right. I mean, we've had people in our showroom print on 23 GSM tissue paper for certain applications, and the LED obviously gives us an opportunity where it's actually low curing heat technology, which enables us to actually print on paper, tissue paper, and anything, but basically card up to 0.75 mil thick through the machine. So we've got obviously an advantage. The one thing that I've known for obviously with the ink technology from my history, especially at Mamaki, working with the brand in the last 8 years, is the diversification of the technology over the years, and the way Mamaki's diversified from pigment to solvent to latex to UV. People's perceptions are hard to change in regards to which is the best one to do and things like that. Right. But I suppose one thing I do like is that Mamaki does have all the ink technology in the showrooms, which enables us to do it, which enables us to showcase the reasons why. But where the UV LED sticks out for me the most is its range and diversifications in regards to different applications that it can do, which we'll obviously explain a little bit later, versus what the latex and what the UV, what the latex and the EcoSol and more important the water-based can do, especially for those point of sale shops, the quick copies, snaps, and Signoramas and Signwave stores, who are looking for new technology, but unfortunately sometimes have 2 or 3 machines to do the same thing, same application, where the Mamaki is certainly fit for purpose as a one fit product that can actually do all products for everybody.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I recently, most recently, I see that customer, that coming to a showroom, doesn't matter Melbourne, Brisbane, or Sydney. Their first impression is like, oh, can I see the latex printer, or can I see the eco-solvent printer? But since we have those 3 different ink set, 3 different ink type into the showroom, we start, with not only product, but we asking a question to customer like, what's your target application is, and as soon as we introduce what the UV LED can do, of course there's things that the customer needs to know about, but many of the customer is kind of changing the mindset of what they can do with UV LED comparing to what they expect from a latex. So
yeah, I mean the last one before going on the new slide is obviously people come into the showroom thinking that they're coming in here because they've already got a solvent, they want another one, or they've got latex and they want another one, and they're just looking to see what Mamaki's got. Right. Yeah, where, like I said before, we can come into the showroom and actually print the same file on a 80 GSM bond paper that we can't print on latex or solvent. Correct. But give them a much better result, but a faster return on investment. So it's exciting times.
All right, just for your information, I've created this, the one extra page. Regards to the silvering, which I just talked about 5 minutes ago. Some of the people in the industry already know what it is. However, let me just explain quickly. What it is just comparing to solvent ink printing or latex printing, which, applying the laminate film onto the flat surface from solvent or latex. If you apply the laminate film into the UV ink, because UV ink printed surface has a bump and dent, well, which is not like a big bump and dent, but it's just a certain finish of the UV ink has a small bump and dent. So after applying the laminate film, you will see like a metallic kind of effect, or the really small air pocket in order to make like the metallic effect, which customer people doesn't want to have. This is what we call silvering effect. However, from our 5 years experience of the the introducing this UCJB 300 printer, we have some solution available in order to prevent silvering, which is including Mimaki, the 3M non-PVC eco-wrap, which we have. Let me just introduce in my camera. So, this is one of the sample which, we printed with the 3M Envision 8548 gloss laminate with, matching laminate to the printable PVC. And, we also use for the our company band wrapping with a totally, dense black color. I have not seen any of the silvering effect from day one, so which is really working, right? If you want a solution from the normal PVC, polymeric or monomeric or cast film, they are specifically for UV laminate film available from Orafor, which is brand called Oragard. So unfortunately, we don't have any Mimaki distributor or partners, the reselling Orafor. But however, Mimaki start partnering with the Orafor in order to explain the benefit of this UV laminate film as well. As a middle term solution, Mimaki also has the made in Europe the Mimaki Vision laminate film. So which we don't supply the print vinyl, but we supply the as a solution Mimaki Vision laminate film with made in Europe the middle term the laminate film, which is pretty have thick layer of the glue. So you need to have the the heat assist laminate in order to put through. Let me just show you, one of the quick video regards to the what we have as a solution to the silvering. So this is basically a quick video regards to printing UJB 100, which is the UV LED inkjet printer from Mimaki, and we have printed with the Orafor polymeric vinyl, and then we actually applying the laminate from DU UV laminate from Orafor. So this is just a quick demo regards to the how much you can prevent silvering from from laminate. Of course, you need some type of the heater temperature in order to heat assist the to activate the glue layer onto the print layer. So you need to run the laminator a bit slower. However, you can see this, the still expect the really the gloss finish from Oragard UV laminate film. This is just a cut part of it. So
yeah, I mean, obviously we're working with a lot of partners. We've got a couple of partners in media manufacturers who also do laminate as well in the showroom in the last couple of days.
Right.
And everybody's keen to work with Mimaki, and I suppose globally work with UV because they know the inkjet technology is the forefront of the technology of all ink manufacturers. So the UV laminate distributors or manufacturers need to work with us to actually make sure that the technology does work to eliminate this fractional process. But what we're saying today is that we do have obviously 3M as an opportunity, Oragard and Mimaki to eliminate the silvering for short-term, long-term, and middle-term prospects. That's cool.
Right now, after we learned a bit of the those ink technology, now I would like to have an opportunity from Jason-san regards to talk about the our current product range for this sign graphics product portfolio. Jason-san is approaching individual customers and our partners as well daily basis in order to promote those equipment. So I'd like to give Jason-san for the discussion.
Yeah, look, I'll start with our legacy products. I mean, obviously the JB33 and the JB33 or the JB3160s and the CJB3160s and things like that are legacy products. Look, one thing I do like about Mimaki is that we do look after our products. Look, by Australian law, we're supposed to look after products 7 years after last manufacturing date. As we know, these have been around for 20 years. And ironically, we have people ringing us up daily, because there's been quite a few machines out in the field, to actually ask us to maintain them and support them. Unfortunately, we are getting close to that end of life in regards to keeping those parts. But to detriment to the brand, they've been around for 20 years and they're still working today, and we've certainly supported them in that aspect. So that's a little run through regards to our legacy products. In regards to our solvent range, one thing I do like about Mimaki Australia is that we do hold multiple size printers, ranging from 775 centimeters wide, 130 centimeters or 160 centimeters, right up to 320 centimeters. So 3.2, 1.6, 1.3, and 75, right across the range from the solvent, but also in the UV. And some of them are print and cut, and some of them are just a solvent, and some of them are UV.
Good. Well, the Mimaki has such a wide product portfolio in this particular sign graphics product the platform. So I'd like to ask Jason for two questions regards to these products. So the first question is, I see some of the words like a C or a B or J. So is there any particular way that Mimaki names this products in general?
Yeah, look, I'll keep it quite simple. Where we've obviously got the J in the CJB 150-75 series is J is for inkjet, so we call it jet. So we're obviously jetting technology out. We're ink technology. Mm-hmm. We started with J back then because we didn't have print and cut, and the other thing too is that we were inkjetting ink through head, so we call it J for jet. Uh-huh. When we have CJB 150-75, the key point is that when there's a C, it means there's a cutter engaged, so it's actually an all-in-one print and cut. So generally what you'll find is our darker color printers are predominantly print and cut, and our lighter color printers, like the Latex, where they're only a printer only. And V is the vertical market, obviously, that we're playing in. That basically means that we're playing in roll-to-roll, roll-fed. Right. And obviously Latex, LX is obviously a latex, the ink technology. Keep it very simple. And when we say UCJV or UJV or UJV 55, the U just basically means UV.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty simple, it sounds like. So the next question I was going to ask was having the eco-solvent inkjet printer portfolio. There's 150 series, CJB 150. Also CJB 300 series. Sounds like it looks identical, but it's probably the number of the head and the speed of printing speed is different because of the number of the print heads. So are you able to define some extra explanation for our dealers or our customers, like your investment level, from which definition or more you need to invest what kind of a product, and less than that you need to invest what kind of product, and so on?
Yeah, look, I'll keep a simple analogy. So when we have the 150 series, it's a single head machine, and the 300 is a dual head machine. Unfortunately, we changed that terminology when we went to 100 series. So all the 100 series are two head machines with the later technology, with the newer print heads. But in regards to the product portfolio, obviously the smaller the product, I'm just going to use the CJB 150-75 as an example at the moment. It is an entry level EcoSol print and cut, either running as a dual CMYK or an extended color set. It's that $14,995 price tag machine, but basically can be used for stickers, decals, labels, and heat transfer vinyl. So again, just one of the ink types that can't do heat transfer is latex or UV.
Oh, okay.
So what we're basically saying is that the solvent printer is for that heat transfer onto material, and it has a much, compared to our competitors, a much better washability and scratch resistance.
I see.
Yeah.
So it's simply that not only what the 300 series takes over, all the benefit of 150 series, but there is some specific application which 150 series can do, but the UCJB 300 can't. Correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like I said, I can't go through them all because there's so many different things, but certainly we have machines fit for purpose for the customer's needs. More importantly, the size of the machines determined to the actual application. Like you wouldn't buy an SWJ 320 to do heat transfer on t-shirts.
Right.
It seems like an overkill. So what we would do is obviously just put a CJB 150-75 next to a heat transfer press, which is available from our dealer network.
Okay. Okay, that's that's pretty good for understanding. All right, Jason-san, I would like you to go through to the well. This is just one part of the product portfolio on the eco-solvent printer. Could you determine quickly, what's the benefit of the each product in general, please?
Yeah, look, the CJV 150 series comes in multiple sizes. Like I said, 75, 130, and 160. We do have multiple ink sets for the actual machine. Our most common go-to product market is obviously SS21, which obviously is magenta, cyan, yellow, black, light cyan, light magenta, light black, and orange. Like you stated before, that does give you that 94.9% of the Pantone chart. But we do know that there's customers out there that are obviously looking for things to be done cheaper. That would be the BS4 ink. And to be honest, it's the most economic OEM ink on the market today. And when I say by that, I mean it's $130 a litre or $80 a cartridge for a 600ml cart. The benefit of that to the end user or to the customer themselves, it's the only ink in Australia that's actually backed by the manufacturer, that if anything does go faulty with it, that we replace the print heads under the warranty program. Okay. So that's a pretty good return on investment for that faster turnaround of for the fast return on investment for the end user. Look, the major differences obviously between the 150 series and the 300 series is I'm not going to go through them all because they use the same ink types. But the CJV 300 Plus series has ID cut, which enables us to have a printer barcode out. And the easiest explanation for that is that customers actually can print, take it out, laminate, and actually basically put it in vertical, horizontal, upside down, to the way that was printed, and the actual scanner will actually the scanner will actually scan the actual barcode, automatically load the file from the cut server, and actually start printing. So it doesn't matter who actually does the job. That feature is actually available on all our new products, right up to the flatbeds, with the ID cut. It's a feature called ID cut.
Okay. So for example, if you are printing, the summer graphic in the morning shift, and you need to outgas and do laminate and cut in night shift, so with a different person. So the customer actually can make it easier and simpler by using this ID.
Absolutely, it's the most simplistic method of creating less errors at the customer. It does make life a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Keep going, please.
No, that's okay. Then we've obviously got NCU, which is obviously the nozzle check unit. It does slow the machine down, but when people are wanting to print overnight, everyone wants to print today and wants it straight away. But again, we can actually slow the machine down. And what that actually does is that we actually have a nozzle check unit on the machine where it'll actually scan the actual print at every pass, and if there's any misfiring nozzles, it'll actually compensate another nozzle into that misfiring spot. Like I said, it does slow it down, but it creates less of a heartache in the morning when you come in and it's all banding. We don't recommend printing overnight, but it's a nice feature to have that, done intended printing. It gives you that confidence. Obviously, I'll just quickly go across to the JV300. Everything I said on the JV300 is the same as the CJV300. The new printer, the JV100 160, we are using a new print head, the new M head technology. It is the most equivalent, what I've noted, in the market space today in regards to the quality of Epson versus the JV100. Look, my perception, and I believe there's only a 1 or 2% difference in the Pantone chart, but in regards to print quality, it's almost identically the same with the newer head technology. But again, as we go with newer head technologies, we go down the path of creating a new ink. And unfortunately, we do hold a lot of ink for different manufacturers, and we hold a lot of ink for different machines and models that we do have. But again, it enables us to actually create a new ink for a new print head and things like that. One thing I do like, and I'll keep it very simple, is a DAS system. It's an auto dot adjustment system for those end users and those customers that are watching this today. Is that the easiest way to work and explain is that a lot of our distributors hold media, and sometimes you do get a new media, and when you do put that media in the printer, and say you're in a regional area like Orange or Bathurst or something like that, and you do put it in, and unfortunately it is banding, you actually can run the dot adjustment system. So it's basically an auto adjust system, and enables you for beginner operators to do the feed adjustments actually on site instead of actually waiting for an engineer. So it's a nice new feature that we've included in the JV in the 100 series.
Oh, looks really the new technology in a new machine. So yeah, let's keep going with the. I just put the latex and LED UV ink in same slide because they are meant to be instant finishing, instant drying. So if you could just go over quickly for what the features in our latex printer and UV LED printers.
Yeah, look, I won't spend too much time on latex. It's been around for 8 years. The benefit, obviously, for us is the orange and green versus our competitors. The biggest difference between us and them is obviously, I'm not going to say if we take price out of it, it's the actual the glossiness of the print. A lot of our customers, right or wrongly, some want gloss and some want a satin finish, but it certainly gives us that orange and green. Certainly gives us that 92.9% of the Pantone chart, but it also gives us that high gloss image at the end of it. But not only that, those really punchy colors, 021 orange and things like that. So that's where I suppose the feature of the latex at 99.95 fully installed. Or $20 a day. There's not a lot you can do with this one here in regards to making it any better or any faster. It's not the fastest machine in the world, but it certainly has the best characteristics in regards to other competitors. The UJB100 again, it's the sister to the JB100 we were talking before. We're just using a different ink type, obviously using UV versus solvent. But it instant print, instant dry. All the features that I was talking about with the JB100 are available on the UJB100. But it does support two-layer printing, CMYK, white or clear. But where we've got them in the market at the moment is to the brother or sister to the UCJB. So the UJB100 has mainly been fit to purpose for the market, running dual CMYK at around that 18 to 23 square meters an hour. Instant print, instant dry on some 80 gram bond paper. It's a really good machine for the point of sale market, for the franchise market as well. That you can do things from your CAD drawings to your posters and short-term signage. UCJB is obviously a product that's been around in my blood for a little while now. It does have a lot more features than anybody's machine on the market, and it does have the fastest return on investment. It does come in multiple sizes from 75 to 160, but as you can see there, it can print from 1 to 5 layers in a simultaneously.
Oh wow!
So that enables us to obviously go from a single layer print right up to a double-sided print. So we can actually do double-sided inline printing. Instead of actually reloading the media and trying to get it, backwards and forwards, and it's very good for window decals and things like that.
Okay. Regards to this, the 2, 3, 4, 5 layers of printing. So some of the our even end users haven't understood what is the 5 layers it's used for. So could you give me a little understanding of what's the 5-layer printing is major application for?
Look, the 5-layer application is mainly for, to be honest, where we've seen it in the market today in Australia is window decals. Whether you're going to a garage and filling up your car and you're walking in there and you get that nice signage and say buy 2 can of Cokes for $3 or whatever it is, and then on the way out it says thanks for filling up your car at Ampol or BP or whatever, things like that. So it gives you that high impact point of sale work in a single line pass, so in a single pass, but gives you that double promotional type of artwork, or alternatively, that window decal, window graphics, which you can put to put some nice features in your showrooms and offices.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. That's normally people understand that if you want a double side printing of the poster, you need to print one side, flip it over to the other side. You will miss a registration for that, but is that what I know? As long as you use the clear or optimal clear material, and it prints the necessary 5 layers at one time in order to make a double-side printing effect, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Wow.
Just to keep it simple, if you use the 5-layer feature using the Mamaki tools in Illustrator, we had a webinar earlier this week which enabled us to show people that with the press of 6 buttons, you can actually create a double-sided image.
Okay.
With some of the tools that we've been using and partnering with with Adobe. So it's quite good. But not only that, we can obviously do it in our Rasterlink RIP software as well.
Okay, just a question for the money though. But is there any needs of a software which customer needs to buy in order to implement a 5 layers printing, or is there any type of the extra investment for the besides the printer to start a 5 layers printing?
No, we can create 5-layer printing in the RIP software. Majority of our customers have obviously already got Adobe Illustrator in there. I think with version 2021 and below, the Mamaki tools is at a free upgrade, which enables them to obviously create double-sided printing in Adobe Illustrator. But we can actually do it on the RIP as well.
Okay, so does the RIP software, which comes with a Mimaki printer, can do that 5-layer printing?
Yes.
Said? Wow.
Yeah.
So just a question though. Like people, normally use like Onyx or Caldera and so on, but what's the benefit using the Mimaki Rastering, which comes with a printer besides buying additional software?
Are you not spending $8,000 on a RIP software to do something else?
That's right. Yeah.
Was probably the main feature. I mean, look, the Rastering software is a software that comes with the actual printer. It does have its value in regards to what it is, and a RIP is a raster imaging processor. It has all the features and benefits, obviously, of what an Onyx or a Caldera does. It has its tiling. It has its 5-layer printing. It has its crop marks. It has its valid pixel, white, where some customers come into a print for pay shop and they don't have the white layer behind it. With the RIP software, instead of actually going back to their site, we can actually add the white layer behind it, within the RIP software. So there's a lot of little features in regards to the raster link that it's used for. It's pretty rare that we'd probably get customers utilizing an additional RIP tool, but it's there.
Okay. So could I clarify again that every Mimaki printers come with Rastering 6 or RIP software?
Every Rasterlink printer comes with a version of Rasterlink.
Okay.
I was thinking about the cutter then. I thought, no, the cutter comes with cut server.
That's why I'm talking about the printer.
Yeah, printer only.
But any customer do not need to buy an extra.
No, it's all full turnkey. So you buy it, you get the printer, the ink, the installation, and the RIP software. The RIP software. The only thing the customers need to supply is a PC.
Okay, that's good. That's very good to know.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the explanation. Could you quickly explain now the 3.2 meters equipment as well?
Yep. I'll keep this one plain and simple. I mean, obviously for our customer, this is our. In the last last week or so, even this week, everyone's probably seen online that we've installed the JFX 600 or got delivered the JFX 600. And what I found is that, we're starting to now get into that grand format space. And when I say grand format, it's not grand format like a Durst or an EF5, because we don't print at 500 square meters an hour and things like that. But we certainly, for the customers who don't want to spend that amount of money but want to start printing at higher speeds, I think these two printers were the two forefronts of the industry. I'll speak about the LED UV first because it came out first. It's the UV LED 3.2 meter wide instant print, instant dry, enabling you to print up to 3 layers. The way the heads are configured for your banners and your light boxes and your some fabrics and things like that. We do have the soft media kit that's available on it. A lot of people do ask, can we print onto banner mesh and things like that and one-way vision? As long as it's aligned to banner mesh, because we actually don't have a drip tray. So where we're saying this machine fits at 119,000 versus our competitors at 500,000, and they've got drip trays and everything else like that. I suppose the end of the day, it's whether or not the customer wants to actually pay that extra 380,000 for a drip tray, where they can actually spend a little bit more on media and not actually have to do it. But what's actually happened, I suppose, since COVID, and I suppose, and this is the truth, is that everybody's looked at upgrading, but not only looked at upgrading, they looked at the efficiencies of their business in regards to running costs and things like that. The EcoSol SWJ320 has been a forefront of our 3.2 meter wide space in Australia. I'll be honest with you, they come in, they go out. They come in, they go out, and I'm ringing you up
really?
and saying,
Yep.
Tomo, order some more. They are a go-to product. They have the same features of the UV, but they are solvent. So they're 3.2 meter wide space. But the biggest thing and the biggest difference is obviously the CS200 running at $80 a litre for cyan, magenta, yellow, black. So you go from a running cost of $2 a square metre or a dollar a square metre, depending obviously on the image and things like that. So it's a faster return on investment. Has that high 100 kilo large media feeder, but also comes with the BOFA unit. So it is solvent. So people need to understand that solvent is it does have a smell, and our CS200 ink does smell like all solvent printers inks do. But the new BOFA unit that we've actually got manufactured, we partnered with BOFA, and that eliminates between 95 and 97% of the smell. So so we've got a full solution for those people that are obviously looking for that 3.2 meter space. So we've got these customers in the market today, UV and solvent, printing dual rolls, printing 3.2 meter wide, and wow. it's our beginning of, I think, where Mamaki will going in the future.
All right. From my point of view, well, we supply CS200 ink, which is Australian $80 a liter. So if you go to a market, like, can be different countries though. There's a lots of type of ink, from different countries manufacturer and so on. But normally, if as a price comes to less expensive, it smells worse. So is there, do you know if there's any customer, has a feedback how the CS200 pure smell is, or after BOFA unit is installed?
Look, we've had customers install the machine before the BOFA unit arrived. Obviously, there's been some freight logistic issues coming from the UK to Australia, using the CS200 ink. I'll be honest with you. I mean, look, there's a smell. But people are used to solvent smells because, generally if we're replacing a 3.2 meter wide solvent, I think we're probably the only OEM manufacturer of this particular model in its space. The rest are obviously also to be honest, mainly Chinese machines. And obviously these ones are a lot more health and safety versus what they are. But I haven't had any issues with it. But I do recommend putting the BOFA unit because you're not worrying about the actual owner of the business. You got to worry about your staff as well.
I see. Yeah. That's good to know. Yeah, regards to UV printer.
I've done a UV. Okay, I did it first.
Thank you. Probably my my English translation skill. How about well, it's basically the end of the slide for today's product portfolio presentation. However, we are going through next hour with the comparison or competitive brand analysis. So the part one is finished now, but if you have time to finish because it's 5 o'clock. So if you need to go out or if you need to leave, that's okay. But we will be going for another 30 minutes for going through the another competitive analysis quickly. So please stay with us if your time is allowed. So we will start in 2 minutes. Stay in the line. All right, we have got some additional attendees just joined. So first of all, my apologize that I have changed the time starting from 4 o'clock since I announced in last week Thursday. But the first hour webinar will be available recorded in YouTube. I will send out everyone is invited. So next 30 minutes will be more to the deep competitive brand analysis in the market. So as Mimaki's perspective, all it's shown in this document is confidential and not meant to be shared with the outside of the the Mimaki's network. So please, someone joining this webinar, please do not send to the the person who works with those other brands as well. But everything we are showing is true, and after the well analysis, well after testing by Mimaki with a different brand product. So those information is all truth, all honest. So if you could trust us, I really appreciate it. So I'm gonna just start with this page. Right. No, those listed supplier printer brands, HP, Roland, Epson, and Muto are the main player besides Mimaki in Australia and New Zealand market regards to sign graphics, sign graphics industry. So I'm gonna just quickly go through to the, just in general, what's the benefit, what those brand has, and what's the disadvantage, what they have comparing to Mimaki. So I'd like to discuss not only disadvantage but benefit first, because sometimes I like those products, and we are happy to study something from them. So okay, start from HP. HP has a latex product, since they started, releasing 2009, which is 12 years ago. Current product portfolio they have is a Latex 300 and 500 series, and they newly available from this year released Latex 700 and 800 series. Right. Their benefit as a latex printer, they have an optimizer which is controlling the ink adhesiveness onto the media stock. So it depends on the media you are using. You can adjust more optimizer or less optimizer in order to make a specific ink adhesion for so you can have more control to it. As well as the print heads is consumable. So instead of paying for the electronics print head like a Mimaki, Roland, Epson, the Muto, we all have as the piezo, print head, which is between $3,000 to $5,000 for each print head. The HP, the print head is already consumable, so you have a really small cost to spend in order when it's filled or when it's consumed. However, you need to change the print head every certain liters of ink usage, so which you need to count this as the non-warranty cost, but it's a purely running cost. So you need to consider about the whatever the print head cost is as the running cost for your printing businesses. As a disadvantage, ink consumption is about 30% more than the other brand. This is because HP uses their fixed dot printhead, which is a the thermal control printhead. So you can't they can't use the the variable dot technology with only CMYK. So you must have a light cyan and light magenta in order to print the acceptance level of a graphic with it. So by having a fixed dot, light cyan, and light magenta, ink consumption as a liter or milliliter, the perspective automatically consumed 30% more than the other printed printer manufacturer, right? So regards to Roland, it's well known as the eco-solvent, print and cut systems, the solution manufacturer. The benefit with Roland is orange and green ink set is available, which Mimaki has only orange and light black, so they have extended green colors as well. Disadvantage is that their ink price is over, over to what we have. The Mimaki has got a variable, ink type solution which starts from $130 a liter, which is a BS4, and average to $280 a liter for our premium ink. However, the Roland ink cost for current True BG2 ink is $360 a liter. So which you need to spend extra, easily 30 to 40% of ink cost into your running cost comparing to Mimaki. Regards to Epson Sure Color SC series printers, eco-solvent 8600, 6600, and 4600. The benefits they have is also they have extended colors with orange and red ink set, which is great. The latex, they use a latex Epson printhead technology, which called the Pression Core printhead. So which has more numbers of the nozzle ejection for the the inkjet. So you can expect a standard print speed as the 30 square meters an hour, which is about 40 or 30 to 40% faster than Mimaki. Right. Regards to disadvantage, the Epson GS3 ink, yellow ink fades in 6 months, even with the laminate film. This is the pure test result from Mimaki. You can't expect a red color or whatever the color, including the yellow ink is it's long more than 6 months. So ink starts fading within 6 months, right? So any questions, Jason-san?
So, I mean, obviously, Thomas, just in regards to just when I've no particular questions in regards to per particular product, but obviously we're just talking about Epson at the moment. When you say yellow fades in 6 months, I mean, obviously that's a major statement to make, but we're obviously using a weatherometer in Japan headquarters to obviously enable us to get these particular features or get these results to be true and factual.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. We basically testing really carefully with competitive the brand and the products.
Yeah.
And in Japan, there are two types of their weathering meter, which is based on Japan standard and North American standard. And there's a specific way to test it. And we completely tested with following to those methods.
Yeah, and I suppose it goes back down to that question in regards to where this comparison started between solvent, ink, latex, UV, and what's the water-based. Water-based.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're talking about a lot of inks and things like that.
Life, so.
Yeah, so I suppose the reason we can state this is that we, as a manufacturer of ink, of our ink, we've got to actually make sure that our actual inks are standard to what the customers are requiring. We're not saying our ink doesn't fade, are we?
Well, any ink fades.
Yeah.
But at least we have a certain, the number spec, to be equal or within, within the specific color change within the time range.
Yeah.
So we make sure that they are within 1 year, the color fading will not be the more than that much visible.
Yeah.
And the 3 years and 5 years and so on.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing that stands out for me I've been around in UV or inkjet technology now for 28 years. The biggest thing for us was variable dot technology versus a binary dot. And for those people that are obviously that are listening here today, variable dot is obviously using a 7, 14, and a 21 dot size, where a binary dot is just using a 14, 14, 14, right. 14. Okay, so from my perception, and I suppose, and those customers that are actually listening to today, online live or at a later date, the biggest thing that you do note is that when you actually are printing with a variable dot, it actually does use 35% less ink than a binary dot.
Correct.
And that's the main reason for that is it does put that 7 picoliter dot next to a 14 to create the midtone, where a binary dot would actually put a 14, 14. So we're actually, instead of using 28 instead of 21, we're actually using 35% less ink, and that's a true known fact. So those people who are listening, go back to actually finding out how much money you've actually spent in light cyan and light magenta on our competitor products, but more importantly, even on your own EcoSol products, is that you do use up to 200% more ink in those two colors alone than your other process colors of cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So it's really important. I mean, we're not just basically stating that none of our products are actually binary dot. We've gone away from binary dot. I don't even know if we ever even had a binary dot. I've been around. So we've obviously used that grayscale technology, but the main reason is that we're actually using CMYK to get the same print quality, but the less ink yield as what a binary dot would use. So that's something that's very powerful. That's for our distributors that are obviously watching, very powerful data. For those end users that are actually watching, it's very powerful that we're making sure that we do buy the right technology, but to get the fastest and the lowest return on investment. So
right, all right, Jason-san. In addition to the comparison between Mimaki and HP regards to Mimaki UV and HP Latex. Besides the instant drying, would you able to explain what's the other benefit you can provide from Mimaki UV besides Latex?
Oh, look, the biggest thing for me that stands out the most is that people want to be able to print, instant dry. So that's number one that stands out when they come into the showroom.
Mm-hmm.
The second one that stands out is the second one for me that stands out is doing multiple different applications on the one device. So a lot of people will come in and actually owning a Mimaki CJV300, and I'm not going to pick on any other brand, but they want to come in and actually print white, print clear, print double-sided printing, print on tissue paper, print on bond paper, and all that sort of stuff. UV enables you to actually do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that UV enables you to actually print on, to be brutally honest, non-coated stock. So we print on copper stocks, we print on gold stocks, we print on white self-adhesive vinyl. A lot of all of our competitors can't actually physically print on those because they're a non-coated stock versus a coated stock. And you explained the inkjet technology before and the reasons why you actually need coating and non-coating. The third one that sticks out for me the most is consistency of color. Consistency of color when you're actually printing with anything that's heat related. Unfortunately, the grades of a piezo inkjet or thermal inkjet head, that or the media changes, the surface tension of the media changes because you're actually putting heat onto it. What that unfortunately does for our competitors and even some of our solvent printers, to be brutally honest, it changes the color. So what I mean by that is that, and I'll use the different technologies, is that if you're using an alternate branded latex printer, the consistencies of color to a customer or to an end user is pretty important. I'll use the example of Coca-Cola Red. If you wanted to print on Coca-Cola Red, you got to put on Pantone 485.
Right.
All right. Unfortunately, we've been in the showroom today. Unfortunately, the air conditioning broke down. We had to turn it off and turn it on and not working again. But the actual environment changed. So what actually happens is that within your technology, because the environment's changed, the media's changed, the media temperature's changed, and everything else like that, the colors change.
Right.
Okay, so that may print at 485, but now we're printing close to 483. Now to Coca-Cola, that's everything. All right, where you put a color shift on Mimaki Red or whatever. The other thing that Mimaki with the UV inkjet technology and the UV LED is that because we're printing on top of the material, the surface tension doesn't change.
Right.
So we're actually printing and actually putting ink on top of instead of embedding the ink into the material. So that enables us to get that consistency of color from day 1 to day 365. So if the machine sat in our showroom here at the environment exactly the same, if that sat in our showroom environment exactly the same, what that will enable us to do is basically print in the Coca-Cola Red this morning and the Coca-Cola Red this afternoon, and we'll get exactly the same color. More importantly, in 3 years or 4 years or 1 year, it would be identical the same, as long as it's the same media, same ink, and everything else like that. So that's where the biggest advantage, obviously, for UV versus our competitors is.
Okay, thank you very much for explanation. So not only those cost of comparison of the the amount of the ink to use, but there are lots of things to consider about the the between latex and UV LED printer.
Yeah.
So I just want to, for people watching this webinar, I'd like to show one of the video, which is, we basically comparing between, HP latex and Mimaki UV LED. So first point which we comparing is eco-friendly because CO2 emission, due to the power usage, is totally different. So if you look at the Mimaki UV printer, it's equivalent to one electronics oven. But the HP latex 700 to 800 is close to 4 or 5 electronics oven. So which basically saving the petrol cost in order to drive from Los Angeles to Washington DC every year, which is more than 8,000 kilometers of their driving distance, right? So I just do not want to. This video is just available on YouTube, from my channel or Mimaki channel. So if you want to see, the entire video, please check out later by yourself. Thanks for watching, by the way. Let me just continue for the a few more product comparison in the sign graphics market. All right, regards to just a quick comparison between Mimaki UV printer UCJB 300, which we've sold more than 500 units in last 3-4 years, comparing the HP Latex 365, which they also they sold nearly 400 units in the last 6 or 7 years. So I'd like to go back quickly, what the benefit and you can provide from Mimaki. So, before we go into a chart, I'd like to quickly explain about this photo in front of you regards to UV print. So, this stained glass effect onto the the little texture with a clear ink, as well as this just a texture window film. This was all done with only UCJB 300 ink printing. So using clear film and the clear ink available on UCJB 300. So you can do this window film value added printing from one machine as long as you use the optical film. So comparing to HP 365, you can do white ink. You can do 2, 3, 4, and 5 layers as well. It includes a print and cut feature, not only print as well as the spot colors white and clear. So you can do like the lots more things to the really the variable applications with UCJB 300 comparing to HP Latex. This is a quick comparison between it's a the really identical printer between CJB 300 from Mimaki EcoSolvent and BG2640 from Warland. Right? Just a quickly comparison. What's the important part is the ink cost. Regards to Mimaki ink cost for every square meter, you can choose two choices. One is the BS4 ink, which is the OEM ink, but less price ink, which is basically $2 a square meters ink cost. If you switch over, if you decide with our premium ink with SS21 ink, you can still get ink cost around $4 a square meters, comparing to a true base Roland ink, which is generally $5.50 per square meter. So you can instantly save minimum of 30% of ink cost comparing to your our competitive product. Regards to printing speed, we are always 30% the faster printing speed comparing to our competitive brand. So basically ink cost and printing speed, you can both expect a 30% more productivity, 30% less ink cost, comparing to that. So do you have any comments for this, Jason-san?
Oh, look, I don't have any comments in regards to people with the differences between our competitors and our own brand. The biggest thing, the one thing that stands out for me, and I suppose the first and foremost, is that when customers do come in, or when our customers are online watching this today, the biggest thing that stands out for me is that when they come into the showroom, I ask them why they're upgrading. And the other thing, that's number one. And if they're just talking about newer technology, I suppose at the end of the day, there's only one product in the market today that adds anything different to what they currently got, and that's the UCJV. And I'm not saying that just because it's a Mimaki, but it's got white, it's got clear,
right.
It can do 5-layer printing. If you don't see the value add in regards to that particular thing, or adding any particular value to the next purchase that you're going to buy, you might as well just fix the machine that you currently got, or actually keep it, because there's no real reason to actually upgrade unless you're willing to change the way you go to the market. And that go to the market not necessarily may be the same as what you're doing, but it may be going, you know what, instead of printing onto 160 photogloss, I can get the same achievement printing onto 80 GSM bond paper.
Yeah.
So I can go from $1 a square meter or $2 a square meter to 28 cents a square meter and get the same result. So if you don't actually see the value of actually doing anything like that, or if you're actually not looking at doing or diversifying into different markets, then there's sometimes that people have gone in and said, you know what, maybe I don't need it at the moment, or maybe it's worth just fixing that print head. So at Mimaki, we're not all about just selling printers.
Exactly.
We do ask a lot of questions in regards to making sure that we're actually they're buying the right products. But at the end of the day, competitor analysis is a key point. If everybody thinks they don't do it to us, we do it to them, and everybody has their own needs and speeds and feeds and things like that. But these are just true facts. I mean, at the end of the day, these are the local market pricing in Australia. They do change on a daily basis, as we found out today when we opened it. Someone's had a price increase on their equipment by 10%, but things like that. But yeah, we do our best to keep it equal.
All right, that's great to hear. A little more, competitive analysis. Just quickly though, regards to Mimaki EcoSolvent and Epson's EcoSolvent printer, JB300 or CJB300 from Mimaki to Epson's, 8600, right? People talks a lot about the, the red ink available with, Epson's SureColor, the inkjet printer. However, if you're comparing to the Pantone coverage between those two products, you can only get the extra 1% of the the Pantone cover, Pantone chart cover, the rate. Well, if a 1% is more important to the us, which is fine, but the it depends on how you see the value in the extra 1% comparing to the what Mimaki can do. But again, there's lots of difference into the the ink longevity. Let me just open this this little chart, right? This is our purely testing result of the ink comparison, ink performance comparison between Mimaki ink, Epson's ink, and Roland Truvis ink. So if you look at the yellow part, which is the biggest line, the longest line onto the chart, so less number, well, less graph, well, shorter graph is and the color fades really with long, the color doesn't fade in short term. The longer bar you can see is their color fades quicker. So Epson's the GS3 ink with yellow especially, it fades more than Delta E15 a year. So you can't expect a color change in case you are putting for the long-term signage or vehicle wrapping. Well, you really need to worry about the the how quick the yellow fades. This is Australia, so if you put the red, red color, the wrapping into the bonnet or roof of the car, you can really see how quick it will fade. But anyway, this is the pure test result from us. So if it helps you out for the recommend Mimaki to someone else. As I let Jason quickly talk about the difference with major player with HP with a new printer, the 800 series. So could you tell me what the the benefit with Mimaki?
Yeah, look, and I think the benefit of Mimaki so far in regards to HP, the 800, 700, 800 series versus the UCJV, is I suppose we've been in the market now printing white, with the UCJV now for 3 to 5 years, whatever, 4 years, whatever it is. I don't know exact, with 500 units installed versus the HP obviously just being launched this year. That's number one. So obviously we know white. They always say they're the whitest of whites, but we know white. So there's a difference between being white but then knowing white. The second thing is obviously the running costs or the actual the investment costs. This looking at the top there at $38,000 versus $72,000 for HP 800W, they print identically the same speed. One thing I do like about Mimaki or is that we do state the speeds that we print. So if the customer doesn't, I mean, I know the 800W when it's got W, it's got white in it, but you can buy the 800 without it. It does print at 25 square meters an hour. If you buy the Mimaki without the white, it does print at 25 square meters an hour. So I've automatically just saved the customer $38,000, just by printing dual CMYK. But the most important thing is that when you actually do print with white. So a lot of people, like I said to you before, the UCJV, we sold over 500 units. 85% of those units have actually been sold with white. So we understand what we're talking about when it comes to this. The benefit of obviously the way we print white is that we print white between 5 and 8 square meters an hour. All right, I understand just looking at that document there, the 800W white underlay produces at 2 square meters an hour, but that's not the opacity that you want. To get the opacity of 140% or 160% on a HP 800W, it actually prints at 1 square meter an hour.
Really?
Yeah, so we are 5 times the faster and things like that. But there's a lot of, there's a lot of differences there in regards to the running cost and, things like that. They might be $2.80 a square meter, we're $3.15, but you've got to add the consumable costs in there, the print heads and things like that. Some of the warranties, some of the ink warranties, I think it's 1 print head per 3 liters. I think the machine holds 15 liters, so you've actually got to, by the time you go through those 15 liters, you've got to go through 5 print heads.
Correct.
So there's, and I think they're $270 each. So look, there's another $1,000 there. So look, at the end of the day, all I'm asking our customers is come and actually look at the UCJB or look at any Mamaki product in our showroom, and obviously let us, talk to you, discuss your options with you in regards to which is the best fit for purpose machine for you. But yeah, that's just a quick overview of the 800W versus the UCJB.
Okay, thank you very much. I didn't know that the actual usage of the sellable the white density from 800W will go as the product speed to 1 square meter. That's very good to know.
Just one before you stop that, Tomo-san, is that they both print 5 layers. So obviously, Mamaki's one of our go-to strategies in regards to selling the UCJB is it actually prints 5-layer printing in line with the rip and also stuff. The HP 800W does that now. As you can see there, we can't lie. When you're printing with 5-layer printing on the 5-layer printing on the 800W, it's 30 centimeters per hour. Wow. We actually print at 2 square meters an hour. So there's a lot of things in regards to what you can do. And I think, like I said to you before, using Mamaki tools in Adobe Illustrator, it's 6 presses of a button. That's from Adobe Illustrator into the RIP software to print, enables us to actually automatically align the double-sided printing. So it's worth coming to invest in your time in a Mamaki. You still buy a HP, then that's your money, not mine. But at the end of the day, it's worth coming in and actually having a look at the UCJB 300/160.
Okay, that's pretty knowledgeable. All right, Jason-san. Lastly, I'd like to let you explain just quickly not only printer, but we've got the vinyl cutters, cutting plotters, and the laminator. So could you explain in last 3 minutes, please?
Yeah, it's the last slide, and I won't keep everyone any longer than what we've got. Obviously at Mamaki Australia, we've got multiple different cutting solutions to the market. It depending on what the actual application and what they're doing and how big their space is. We've got obviously desktop CG 60 SR3 cutters that do kiss cut and through cut and things like that, right up to the CG 160 FX Plus. Now, the differences between those two models is not a lot, but I'll explain a little bit. The CG 60 SR3 is an entry-level cutter. It's designed to be able to print and cut onto vinyl and things like that.
Right.
The difference is obviously with the Plus series is that the Plus series does have the ID cut feature enabled to it. So those new machines that I was talking to, or you were talking about earlier, the JV100 or the JV300 Plus, or even cutting something on the flatbed, that's been cut on some vinyl or whatever, and things like that, that does have the ID cut feature. The ID cut feature is available on the 160 Plus model. But not only that, you can actually upgrade the 160 Plus in the 130 model to actually, print under a cut reflective or hold reflective down. So again, the reasons we do have multiple different sizes of cutting solutions is based on what the customer's needs and speeds are. Again, from entry level right up until kiss cutting and through cutting of the substrates that have been printed out on a printer. In regards to the laminator, you want to do the laminator just quickly?
Yes, please.
It is Mamaki's, I suppose, low melt laminate film. It's 1.6 meters wide. One thing I do like about this machine is that it can actually be used as a applicator as well. And what I mean by that is that you can actually load the roll up to 35 mil through the actual laminator. But it is a heat assist laminator as well as an applicator. And it's an industrial laminator. It's been around for a long time for us, and it's something that's sold all the time. So obviously, heat assist, it can be either with pressure or you can turn the heater off. And if you've got a low melt film or a cold laminate film, you can actually use that on it as well.
Okay. Right, Jason-san, it's probably past 1 hour and 30 minutes. So for just the last minute, I would like to quickly ask the people listening to our webinar if you've got any questions which wants to be answered in on live, please enter to your question and answer room at the chat so we can see who asked and what. So in the next 5 minutes, I'm more than welcome to listen to your question. The answer is. And otherwise, you can always contact us at the Australia at mimaki.com or just reply with this webinar, recording link. So, we will be able to answer your questions. If you have any concern about the time range regards to this webinar and date, please let us know so we are able to flexibly think about the next session, daytime, nighttime, morning time, whichever suits for all the listeners. So otherwise, I'd like to say thank you very much for today listening to our long webinar. And we will have next webinar on Monday morning for application next week and Wednesday, 4 o'clock, same time as a product webinar next week. So I will see you next week in 2 webinars and stay tuned.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, thanks everyone for joining us on the webinar. I mean, I think they're a new tool for our customers to listen in and reach out to Mamaki Australia. Especially, it's a way to sometimes during COVID they can't come into the showroom, but it's nice to obviously talk about our products and things like that. But yeah, if you've got any questions, just feel free to put your, I think it's in the top right-hand corner of your screen, the little man, and just put your hand up. Just click on that. We can actually see you here and we can actually go live with you to ask any questions. Or alternatively, just type them in the questions and answers. I think if we don't get any more questions in the next minute or so, I think we'll close the webinar off. But I do appreciate everybody coming online to us today. I know
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I know we'll reach out to everyone again, and hopefully everyone can join us for the next webinar.
Stay tuned.
All right, everybody. I mean, obviously, from the previous webinars to the new webinars, we've obviously had nobody ask any questions. A few people are a bit shy in regards to obviously asking questions. Feel free to reach out to Tomo-san or myself in regards to any questions you may have privately, or alternatively, reach out to our channel partners or channel managers in respective states. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Stay tuned, and then we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do.